at times when we are faced with such situations, at times, you never know who you are dealing with. It could be someone, got no responsibility, he just flying through the world without no destination. That is why it's essential to have social skills so that you're able to have much understanding and think on the safe side of it. Because when you are thinking about safety, about safety and thinking about able to calm whatever situation you find yourself down so that you don't make wrong mistake or say something wrong that might escalate the situation. Because we are living in a world where a lot of people are so depressed. We are living in a world where a lot of people, they have not got really proper upbringing. And all what they know and how they were brought up is street lives. We are living in a world where a lot of people are so used to violence, are so used to harming other people or using fear or force to kind of oppress others, you know. But there's possibility able to change the situation where you are able to have that understanding that, one, you don't know who you are dealing with. You don't know their background. You don't know their history, you know. So I found myself in such situations many times in life. I have expectation of myself when I find myself in such situation, and my expectation is that I'm able to manage that situation, that it doesn't escalate. It's so vital to me because my life alone doesn't belong to me alone. I have other people that are depending on me.
Indeed.
So that means I have to put myself in that expectation that I have for myself, so that I'm able to deal with the situation no matter how bad it is. You know, I make sure I might lost my cool because I'm a human being, but when I realize that it's going too far, that it might lead to something else, I will take a step back. I start going the opposite way. Not because I'm afraid, just because of the consequences of allowing it to escalate, because you never know what it might lead to. So safety is my ultimate mission when I find myself in that situation.
Indeed. And this what I mean. And that's what I'm talking about. Sometimes you have to get them dealing with you how you want them to deal with you.
Absolutely.
Because that's the only way you're going to feel safe. If they're talking anyway, they want to talk to you, they're rude, they're this, they're that, you do not feel safe even in your wording.
That's what I'm saying.
And so you have to, right. So that's exactly. So what I'm saying is, when I'm saying that sometimes you have to shut them down, you might have to deal with them harsh, you might have to deal with them stark. It's because you have to now make that environment as safe as possible for you.
Absolutely.
And in that situation, when it feels like it's getting to that situation where it can kick off, I'd rather walk away and not have the conversation at all. It's not my job to change anybody else unless they want to be changed in that moment. When they calm down, we can have the conversation. But in that moment, it is not my job to try and change anybody in that moment, especially since the majority of people I speak to are adults. I do recognize I cannot know what goes on in their life. However, in that moment, I have to then think about, like you said, my safety, negotiating situation, maybe take them away from it, and then come back. And that's happened to me many times. I remember when I was working in a behavior unit.
Yeah.
Some of the young people were very dangerous, gone on to commit murders, etc., etc.
Yeah.
When they were angry, rather than dealing with them, rather than getting into a confrontation, I walked away.
Yes.
I'd come back when they'd calm down.
Yes.
Then we can have that conversation of what is going on. Why were you in that space?
Yes.
What can we do to change that space?
Yes.
What can I do personally? Was I part of the issue? If I was part of the issue, what can I do? How can I change me? But when I'm in that moment of when they're in that moment of anger, I don't enter that space of anger with them. I can't
Yes.
see. I do not see any point in me entering that space of anger with them. However, when I'm in a normal dialogue, let's say, and as I said, when people often say, I'm keeping it real, or I just speak my mind, or whatever, and in normal dialogue, as I said, that's often a precursor to being rude. And I will cut that person down in that moment, because they have to recognize that we are both people who they need to be respected. And incidentally, when you tell that person, I'm going to be real, and you tell them, and you speak to them exactly how they speak to you, they always get emotional.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that is where we have big issue, in the sense that, you see, as I earlier said, we are living in a world where things are functioning negatively because of people's upbringing, or because of people's communities, or because of what they have learned from social media. That is why I think it's essential for one to be able to self-regulate, so that you are able to demonstrate the power of silence. So you are able to demonstrate the power of maturity, in the sense that you are able to make better choices that we kind of go a long way to save the situation. Like the way you demonstrated anytime you have confrontation when we were working in the unit you mentioned earlier on, all these are strategies, because as I said earlier, you don't know people's background. You don't know what has happened to them, what is making them to behave the way they are behaving. That is why understanding is very important. I try to seek, I speak to everyone, no matter who you are, because I try to seek to understand what is really going on. Because when I'm able to understand, at the process of speaking to you, I'm able to read you to understand the kind of person you are. Then I will make a decision. If I realize there's something wrong upstairs, I try to go with you in your own format, like just saying yes, 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 yes. Okay, I understand you, man. Okay, man, sorry, man. Okay, I need to go now, man. All right, it's good to talk to you. I'll be on my way. But if I realize you are someone that can see reasons with me, I will put my reasons. Then if I realize that I'm unable to work with you, that's when I will take a walk.
The growing kind of low-level narcissists is what I would say.
Yeah.
And what I mean by this is that there is so much talk about just focus on yourself, don't worry about anybody else, because you can't do anything about this, can't do anything like that. However, how is that actually being socially aware of the world? Everything affects us because we are all part of a bigger construct. We're all
Absolutely.
part of the world. So we should actually care about everything. So it shouldn't just be about that self-centered thing. And I think because a lot of people are running around, or a lot of the rhetoric out there at the moment is about that kind of self-centeredness and self-determination and bringing in excessive amount of wealth and all that. And I have no problem with wealth or anything like that. But what we stop doing is actually looking at humanity.
Yeah. Because that is what the systems have done with us. They've created the systems to kind of separate everyone, so that we become more individualistic, so that we start thinking about ourselves. That's what the system have also done: destroy family values, destroy partnership values, because they want you to be egoistic and just be on your own. Because when people are separated, then the system can function better, because they don't have opposition.
That's correct.
That is where all these ideologies coming from. These are all schemes, these are all systems set up to separate people, so that they're able to take the powers away from people. Because the more people work together, the more people are more united, the more people in authority have problems, and they don't want that to be. So they have to kind of sell this idea to you that it's better when you are on your own. That is where they bring in commercializations. They bring in brainwashing medias. They keep on flashing things. That is why you have a lot of level of depressions in young people, you know, selling them fake life, selling them facades, and they believe on these lies that they see on social media. And where the reality is them hard, that is where depression steps in. You see them committing suicide, you know?
That's correct. That's good. And that's why I remember we've had conversations where we have talked about the idea that I think that the system is insidious and language we use is insidious. It creeps in and kind of, it presents itself as being nice, but it's actually quite destructive.
It's destructive, yeah, yeah.
And I feel that a lot of the language we use as well contributes to that. It's all just kind of different, multiple layers of structured, if you like. And like you said, selling that dream. It's like a lot of the rhetoric now, again, is about kind of the unlimited self, right?
Yes, unlimited self.
Right. And I've seen, I mean, and I know I was guilty of this, where I would try to be this so-called unlimited self, but kept running to limits, because we all got limits.
We all got limits. Absolutely, we all got limits. I had a client the other day. He was telling me, I want to be this, want to be that, want to be this, want to be that, want to be this, want to be that. So I make it to realize, I said, listen, we're living in a real world. We are not living in a fake world.
Yeah.
And in the real world, is always baby steps. You take baby steps to get to where you want to be. You know, it doesn't just happen overnight.
No, and
work
even
in
then,
progress.
That's right. And even then, you might reach a threshold which you cannot get past.
Yeah,
it's life, and
it's life.
It's life, but I think that there are a lot of the, and this is what I mean about being self-aware. I think there was a lot of these stories out there where we're not actually checking things like, what is our limit? What is our capacity? What is our capabilities? What is this? What is that? And when we are not performing to this idea which is in our head, because we're told that we are limited and our mind is unlimited and connected with this and that, we start bringing pressures on ourselves, which is unnecessary.
You don't need that.
No.
You know, that is why my take on this self-unlimited, my take on it is that you are running your own race and you are setting your expectations. And setting your expectations is, you are not competing with no one. You are only competing with how far you can go. There's a time to call it off. There's a time to go on. There's a time to take a rest. There's a time to just lay off and just say, you know what, this something's not working out, to change your course, you know, because you only need to compete with yourself and run your own race. You might have role model, you only learn from them and pick positive skills that they got and try to learn to improve your life. That's just that, you know.
I
unlimited self. There's nothing like unlimited self. These are just stories.
That's
these
correct.
Are stories.
Indeed.
To mislead people, because even the level of individual's energy has a limitation.
That's correct.
After running around, when I get back home, I'm tired. You know, I just want to lay my head down and just have a little rest so I can re-energize myself. You know, so where did they get this unlimited self from?
Who knows? You know, I agree with you. And I think something important what you just said, the idea of things like rest. We have to recognize that part of the awareness of self is that we need to be able to have fun. We need to be able to rest.
Absolutely.
And actually, to a certain extent, we need to be in moments where we're not necessarily not down, but not, I don't want it to be down, but we don't not always have to be happy. We are human beings. Happiness, it comes and goes, and you know, and it's thing. Contentment is a different thing, but
Contentment
happiness,
is a different thing.
right?
You know,
And I think we should try to be content always, but happiness kind of comes and goes. And I think we have to recognize that we're not always going to be happy.
absolutely. Happiness is a short-term thing. It's a joyous moment, comes and go.
That's right.
Joyous moment comes and go. Fulfillment is the main thing.
Yes, exactly.
When you get to that point of self-satisfaction,
right,
where you become the master of your life, you make choices, you make decisions. You are then running your own race. You are not competing with no one. With whatever you are, whatever you have, you are satisfied. You have happiness within because you are running your own race. You go for what you can afford. You live within your means. Is when we allow our brains, when we allow ourselves to be manipulated with what is going on social media, we live above our means. We try to compete with others. That's where we go wrong. We are imperfect.
Right, we're imperfect. And even then, I remember again, if you're like all you're ever doing is focusing on, let's say, the growth, but you're not focusing on developing a stable house, because all you're doing is trying to grow within yourself, you're still not going to grow, because you're going to say, wait a second, my home is gone. I'm super knowledgeable, but my home is gone.
I think that is where coming terms with your reality matters so much.
There we go.
Coming in terms with your reality matters so much.
That's
because
right.
you cannot be living in a self-deceived life and you are thinking of growth mindset. No, you have to embrace your reality and go on your own race and compete with yourself alone. You know, and do the best you could do. If you are successful, be happy. If you are unsuccessful, change your course, try something else. You know,
indeed, I agree, and I think part of it as well is again going back to the point of the fact that the brain is lazy. We need to recognize that a lot of what we believe it being inputted into us is not necessarily where we should really end up believing. It's just that we're too lazy to kind of challenge ourselves and so forth. And I think the awareness around us is very much understanding that, you know, I see people like maybe religious, and they've very much got a belief in their faith, which I think is good, because that's actually an anchor for them to move forward in their life.
Absolutely, yeah.
And there's also the kind of, then it's got the idea of getting a moral compass in there, which I think is what we were alluding to before about how you deal with people and things like that. And I think we need to check our moral compasses before anything else. If we could check our moral compasses, how do we communicate? Are we actually others? Are we actually a good person in society, however you just see as being good? Are we actually humane? Are we this, that? And once we've got our foundation of the moral compass, then I think everything else becomes a lot easier.
Absolutely, I agree with you. Effective communication, moral compass, so essential in our lives. But unfortunately, the path the world is toiling is not towards that direction.
No.
You know, because the world is going towards opposite direction. They are destroying all those things that we hold so high. You know, that is why we need to deal with reality. And as you rightly said, communication is so important. It's so important in social awareness.
I agree.
Because how you communicate is so important. You know, how you try to understand people, behaviors, how you try to understand what is going on, how you try to have empathy, how you have rapport with people, how you are able to keep silent and listen attentively, how you are able to understand and before you suggest is so important. Communication is vital in social awareness. You know, so that is a very valid point you just made. Communication.
And I think on top of the verbal communication, we need to learn how to, again, our emotions kick in before our rational mind.
Yes.
So we need to be able to slow ourselves down, relax, 5-10 seconds, whatever it is, relax. And then that way we can communicate, not just verbal communication, but our body language says a lot.
Yeah.
Our facial expression. And the only way you get to get those in check is if you slow down, relax yourself, and actually understand your environment. You understand where you are in that moment and why you're there in that moment.
Absolutely. That is where self-regulation come into play. Self-regulation, you know, because at times we forget ourselves and we just do things naturally, you know, which might hurt people or might even hurt you before you realize that what you have done was not the right thing to do, you know. But when you are able to self-regulate and you have awareness of what is going on, then you will know how to respond, you know, positively to the situation.
Understanding yourself and, like I said, and the environment around you simultaneously. And try to be as positive with yourself and the environment around you simultaneously. You know,
so that is why social skills are so important, because when you have social skills, you are able to regulate, you are able to behave more better positively, you are able to respond more better, you are able to have better empathy, you are able to understand more better, and you are able to listen more better, so that you are able to regulate your behaviors positively that affects your environment, affect the community, affect other people positively, so that there is a kind of better situation for everyone, for the environment, and for you, which is so good for your mental health and for people's mental health as well. You know, because the ability to regulate yourself, to act the right way is so wonderful in your positive mental health that you cannot overlook it, you know?
Yeah. I think that's important. Again, because that was the point I'm just going to make. Like, if we think about the construct of work, for example, sometimes our work is so much, we forget what we need. We forget that we need rest. We forget that we might need a break. We actually forget what we need and forget, almost like we forget how to self-regulate.
I think most people forget that life is not about money alone.
That's correct.
Life is not about competing with another person.
No.
Life is not about pleasing everyone. You have to look after yourself before you're able to look after others. You know,
totally.
That is so important.
Totally.
Life is all about you designing your life the way you want to live it, so that you're able to live stress-free life, satisfied life, so that you're able to have attended activities that you do regularly with time management, so that you know when to do it and when to finish it, so that you have enough time for yourself and enough time for your family, enough time to look after your life, enough time for you to to look after your physical health, enough time for you to look after your mental health, enough time for you to develop your mind, to read, enough time to sleep, enough time to just reflect, contemplate, enough time to deliberate on situations so that you can make better decisions regarding things that is going on in your life. You know, so you need all these wonderful points to keep you going in the right direction in life.
Indeed.
You know,
Indeed. And that's what I mean. And I think sometimes we forget how to self-regulate, or that to self-regulate. Again, with the lockdown, at no point in the lockdown was I at a low. I was quite happy right the way through it. And just simply, well, firstly, is that I expected that there was going to be some kind of crash, some way, shape, or form. Not a disease, but some kind of crash. So I was kind of forward thinking. But that's neither here nor there.
Yeah.
The second part of it is that rather than sitting in the house and saying, I don't know what to do, and just sitting in the house saying, I don't know what to do, I consistently did things. So therefore, I might have gone into the garden to connect with nature and get exercise.
Absolutely. Which is very nice for your mental health.
Right.
You know?
And then I might have sat down and read. And I would go in the kitchen and cook. So suddenly, again, good for my mental health, because I find relaxing and things like that. So actually, I gave myself different spaces to kind of
experiment
needs in that moment. And I think that is what we forget to do. A lot of time we sit down and just focus on, I'm locked down and I can't do anything, and my rights have been taken away. What can I do? And we're just focusing on what's been taken from us rather than what we can give.
Yeah. I agree with you. Absolutely, because it was a great experience for me too, you know, during this period, because I was able to kind of have time for myself to do a lot of things that I've not had time to do before, you know. Though I was also thinking of people that are not positive minded, people that were just in their rooms, not going out to get things done, people that were not going about. Because I was thinking that most of them must have lost their confidence or how to socialize again. So I was really feeling for people that were just indoors. But I was lucky enough to be moving about, you know, moving about and see socializing and doing what I've always been doing, you know. So I think at the moment I understand the situation, what needs to be done to keep you safe and keep others safe, you know, like social distancing and hand sanitizing and so on, and wearing face masks regularly. I think I was just going strong, and I was not feeling anything, because the moment I understand it, that was that.